right, I've been waiting to make this video for a long time. It's been a long time since the last one, since the last competition. Today is going to be my prediction video for East versus West 20, Zürich, Switzerland, November 1st. We're just going to jump right into it. I'm super excited for this event because it has been a while since the last one, which was in Colorado, East versus West 19, paired up with the Shaw Classic. Overall, this looks like it's going to be a really, really cool card. I'm very excited for it. So first match, we got super heavyweight right arm Effie Comic versus Manuel Battaglia, right arm. Overall, this looks like it's going to be a great match. Effie Comic just showed up this year and won WAF Worlds, the super heavyweight. That puts him really, really high. And as far as his style goes, he's got a really, really good style. Manuel Battaglia, super, super good outside puller from Italy. I just don't think Manuel Battaglia is going to have what it takes to beat Effie Comic. Effie looks really, really strong right now. And Battaglia is sort of like outside top roll, leaves himself very open and exposed, especially to someone so renowned as Effie Comic. I'm going to have to give it to Effie Comic. I'm going to make it 3-1 is my prediction for that match in favor of Effie. Snezana Babayeva versus Elena Persson. I'm going to have to give it to Snezana because she seems like a more renowned puller, much more proficient. But, I mean, the Swedish female athletes have just been insane. We've seen a lot of people like Malin Bergström. We've seen Fia Reisek. We've seen all sorts of athletes from Switzerland that have just torn it up, just done super, super well. Left arm. So it is going to be a good match. I'm going to have to give it to Snezana. I feel like if one of them's showing up better than the other, they're going to be the winner. So they're going to have to show up at least one level higher than the other. So I would give it dominant to one or the other. And I would have to go with Snezana as the winner. So I'd have to give it to her 3-0. Now come kind of the matches that I'm really, really excited for. Petro Maharet versus Yoshi Kanai. This one was tough to predict because Petro Maharet, his inside supinated style where he's just dragging outside is super, super good. We saw what it did to Nugo Chikadze, who is now going up against Oleg Petrenko for the world title. And I would say that this seems like a mismatch as far as rankings go because Petro Maharet has beat the #1 contender right now for the 105 kg championship. And as far as I know, Yoshi Kanai isn't even ranked top 10. But as far as I'm concerned, Yoshi Kanai could be even top 5. He is super, super good. Open arm top roll, King's move style. The thing that made me feel much more confident in predicting this match was I wanted to know how Petro would handle Yoshi's King's move. And I actually watched back a couple times. If you watch from King of the Table 14, when Petro Maharet fought Lachlan Adair, Lachlan ended up going into a kind of King's move, bicep driven, hand kept intact. And when Petro came in for the attack, his wrist sacrificed, like his wrist cracked back. And Lachlan Adair has never done a King's move before. He is not very proficient in a King's move. And even he was able to crack Petro's wrist. So a seasoned King's move professional like Yoshi Kanai, I don't see how he couldn't crack Petro's wrist. So as far as logic goes, it's an easy match to predict. I'm going Yoshi Kanai, and I'm going to have to go 3-0. Yoshi is so difficult to pin. And the thing about Yoshi is, as he sits in kind of that open arm top roll King's move, the thing is, if he stops you and makes it a long match, when everyone else's arms blow up and they're like really tight in the match, they'll go from here to here. Like their arms will open up as the match progresses because their arms swell with so much blood that they can't maneuver as easily and stay as tight as they wanted to. Meanwhile, Yoshi Kanai, every time he sits in this top roll position, as the match progresses and his arm swells more and more and more over the course of the match, I think it actually helps him, because the more his arm swells, the more it stiffens, the more it's harder to open up. In fact, we've seen it with Todd, where at the end of that match, it had gone so long and both athletes had tried so hard. Yoshi ends up walking to the table and he can't even put his hand up. He's got his arm hanging low and the refs kind of have to pick it up to have him set up, which would make you think he has no control. But as soon as he gets back into that position, his arm just doesn't move. So I've got to give it to Yoshi Kanai, in my opinion, one of the #1 contenders for that category at 105. He is super proficient. Really, really excited to see that match, though. Mindaugas Tarasidis, Daniel Ustinov. I thought this was for the world title, but apparently it is not. Right arm, light heavyweight, which makes sense because Makarov is still the light heavyweight right arm world champion. Mindaugas Tarasidis, I mean, a lot of people consider him one of the greatest pullers of all time, and how could you not? He is super, super technically advanced. He's self-proclaimed mastered arm wrestling. But Ustinov, if you look at the videos of Ustinov, anyone would say that guy weighs at least 200 pounds and is just massive and shredded. Huge, huge guy. But then you look at him like on the table and everything, and you realize this guy's a lightweight. Like he's not even close to the 200s, and he is still super, super proficient. His last match at East versus West 15 was an incredible one, and we've seen these guys battle at WAF Worlds. I think on the left arm, where Ustinov was able to get a pin, just opened up Mindaugas too fast. The thing is, Mindaugas looks really, really strong right now. I think he's been putting in more training and has been getting a lot stronger. Mindaugas' style, where he just sits back and lets his arm just kind of take the blow and then wrenches it back into a top roll. Anytime I've seen Ustinov pull a difficult opponent, Ustinov drags back and does that same, where he's got like that open arm position. I don't think Mindaugas is going to let that go. I think Mindaugas is going to take initiative and he's going to be able to pin him, whether it's in a press or if it's in a top roll. Either way, I think Mindaugas is just too well-rounded to lose to Ustinov right now. But if Ustinov shows up stronger, which he very well could be, this is going to be a tough match. But right now, I'm giving it to Mindaugas Tarasidis 3-0. Oh yeah, and Petro Maharet Yoshi Kanai, I give it to Yoshi 3-0. I don't know if I mentioned that. Next match, Matt Mask versus Sergey Kalynachenko. Both these guys have fought right arm, and it was an incredible match. Very, very close. Matt looked like he was going to win it, but at the end of the day, Sergey found the way to just flat press off the start and just beat Mask. Super, super close match. Really interesting one. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's really, really interesting. As far as left hand, Matt has been looking really, really good. Beating, I forget who his opponent was last year that he beat in the Challenger Series, but he had a very good performance in that match. And he pulled, of course, most recently, Irakli at East versus West 18. And that was one of the best matches on that card. I think the best match ever, because it was just so close. And it is so rare that you see an athlete dominantly beating their opponent, and then that opponent comes back and dominantly beats that guy. Like, that never happens. If the match is close, it's because, you know, it's a give and take. This wasn't a give and take. Irakli was dominantly beating Matt, and Matt somehow found the strength and the technique to turn it around. And that's very, very impressive, especially against a guy like Irakli. All that being said, Sergey has been posting a lot of workout videos. I haven't seen a lot of them, but he looks very strong, very prepared. I think Sergey's left arm is pretty good. I think that he's going to end up winning this match. He's just too strong inside, got too strong finger pressure in a press. Matt is going to set up the way he usually does, and he's just going to bounce off, and eventually he's just going to get pinned. Because as soon as that match stops, Matt is in a very much worse position than where he started. I have to give it to Sergey Kalinschenko. I'm giving it to him 3-0. I want Mask to win. I'm a huge Matt Mask fan, but if I'm looking at accuracy as far as predicting these matches, I got to give it to Sergey. Dadikian, Jablonski. That's a good match. Probably the best on this card, honestly. I really, really wanted to see Dadikian versus Georgi Svetkov. Super unfortunate how that match played out. I think that has left Dadikian hungry for a win. Hungry for a good, hard performance. Because he hasn't gotten the chance in a while. Probably since he's versus West 16 against Kurdecha. Jablonski has prepared like crazy for this match and is super tough for anyone. Many people consider Kamil Jablonski to be one of the best pressers of all time. I personally do, but I think there are a couple better pressers like Jerry Catarat, and I think Ibrahim is a better presser. Ibrahim Sagov, just because Ibrahim is so tight and dense when he presses. And Kamil, as strong as his press is, don't get me wrong, if you get caught under Kamil's press, you have basically no chance to get out. But there are plenty of holes before he can get into that position where his opponent can drag him out or over and leave him in too much of a compromised position for him to continue his press effectively. If anyone's going to do that to him, it's Dadikian. We saw what happened to him against Matyashenko. Matyashenko just with those quick, like almost top rolling hook. If anyone's going to be able to replicate that performance against a guy like Kamil Jablonski, David Dadikian is the guy to do it. But this is a very close match. I'm going to have to give it a split. David Dadikian 3-2. Because I feel like Kamil's going to work in some good presses here and there. This, I think, will be the match of the match of the card. Like, the match of the event. I don't see how it couldn't be. Because these guys are very close, and this is a very good stylistic match. We have Oleg Jacques versus Thomas Rositz for the first world title of 5. Left arm welterweight world title. I've got to give it to Thomas Rositz. Just because, yes, Jacques is insane left arm and is nearly unbeatable. We saw what Bet Kilioniani did 1 year ago at East versus West 15. If anyone's going to be able to replicate that performance, it's going to be Thomas Rositz. Thomas Rositz is insane, super proficient. I like long shots. I'm giving it Thomas Rositz, and I'm giving it to him 4-2. We'll make that. Gabriela Vasconcelos, Barbora Bachova. Excited to see these women pull again because they are always very, very close to one another. For a while, I thought Barbora, because she's always been somewhat dominant of a figure against Gabriela, but Gabby's the reigning world champion, left arm, open weight for women. And I think Gabby's going to come in a level up. Barbora didn't seem very confident in the podcast, so that leads me to believe that she's just showing up and going to do her best. And for me, you have to show up willing to do more than just give it your best in order to beat someone like Gabby. I'm giving it Gabby Vasconcelos. I'll do 4-1. We'll leave Barbora some room to sneak in, especially because when Gabriela jumps to the side, she can maybe pull her elbow off the back, you know. Another match, Petro Maharet, Nugo Chikadze. This is one of the matches everyone is super excited for. And like everyone, I gotta go with Oleg Petrenko. We saw what Petro Maharet did to Nugo Chikadze. I think that Oleg is gonna do the same thing, but better. Nugo's been preparing like crazy for this match. I don't think it's enough. Oleg is such a well-rounded, table-strong athlete, and in my opinion, he is the best athlete, pound for pound, and overall. Meaning, he can go right arm or left arm pretty much equally, and he can go from any weight category at 70 kgs to 115 plus and be a very formidable opponent, which I think makes him fully qualified to be considered the best well-rounded athlete in East versus West and in arm wrestling. He is absolutely incredible. I can't bet against Oleg Petrenko, so I'm going to have to go. I'll leave Nugo 2 rounds. 2 rounds for Nugo to sneak in a really good top roll, a really good dragging hook. But I do not see Petrenko losing this match, so I'm going to have to give it to Petrenko 4-2. Todd Hutchings, Irakli Zurikashvili, right arm. Isn't it middleweight? Yeah, it's middleweight world title. I hate this match, and I'll tell you why. Irakli upsets me like crazy, because here they go. They pulled 2 or 3 years ago. Their very first time pulling, Todd beats him dominantly. There was that one round where Todd was in his position and Irakli pulled him open, and Todd just set himself right back earlier this year. And that's what upsets me. This match happened like 7 or 8 months ago. This match just happened. And it's happening again. And you wonder why it happened again. It is because Irakli cried and whined for this match. And it upsets me so much, because after that match happened and Hutchings won, Irakli came forward to Engen and said, here are a couple freeze frames of Todd's elbow coming up. Mind you, it was only less than an inch. They were barely up off the pad. I'm not talking it was like a centimeter, but like they were up. But honestly, it's not enough to call. But because of those few that I will give him, there were some miscalls in that match. But from there, he took it way too far, because he said not a single pin was valid, because there was always a foul that wasn't called on him, meaning not a single pin was valid, meaning he doesn't deserve the title, meaning he didn't beat him fairly. It's like, if you want to point out some of the flaws in the match and how they were called, do that. But then Irakli took it a step further and said, at Todd Hutchings' soonest availability, you have to give me a rematch with him, because that match was completely invalid. And I completely disagree with that, because also Todd Hutchings gets like 2 call-outs per event. Everyone wants to pull Todd. But Irakli, because of a couple miscalled elbow fouls, gets to pull him a 3rd time, 8 months after they just pulled. That doesn't make sense to me. And then he goes on the podcast and says jokingly, well, maybe I'll pull him every year. Like, no one wants to see these guys pull every year. No one wanted to see this match, because we already saw it 8 months ago. We know how this match plays out. And if Irakli were to win this match, good for you. You beat this guy that it took you 3 consecutive tries to finally beat. To me, that seems like that's just wimpy. That is no way to go about challenging somebody for the title. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm frustrated that I'm paying $20 for a pay-per-view that this match is on, just because there is nothing in me that wants to see this match go down, because we've already seen it before. That's where I feel, and because of that, I'm giving it to Todd Hutchings 4-1, because I feel like those elbow fouls could get him in trouble a little bit, but I don't think Irakli's going to win. And the thing is, Irakli's pin last time, where he goes for the flop press, if you watch, it wasn't Irakli's flop press that really did the job. What Todd Hutchings did was he went from his position outside like this to then sink into a top roll. And as soon as he did that, Irakli just so happened to already be transitioning for a press. It was coincidence that that pin occurred, because you see Todd Hutchings is still in this position when Irakli starts to come in for the press. But Todd decides to switch it up, and that leaves him open and exposed. Todd is not going to make that mistake again. He isn't. He pointed that out after the match and said, yeah, that was bad on me. He's not going to make that mistake again. that flop wrist press from Irakli is going to get shut down every single time against Todd this next time. All because of that, I'm going 4-1 Todd Hutchings. Now, the match that everyone wants to see, Ibrahim Sagov versus Dave Chafee. I personally have a very hot take on this match because everyone seems to think that Dave's going to win. I'm giving it to Ibrahim, and it's not even close. I think it's going to be Ibrahim 4-0. The thing about Chafee, if you especially watch his match with Georgi Svetkov earlier this year at East vs. West 17, what Dave does is he sets up, and as soon as go is dropped, he leans back, tries to catch his opponent, and then goes for the top roll. That's not going to work with Sagov. People look at this match and they go, oh, Todd Hutchings beat Sagov, and Dave beat Todd Hutchings. The reason why Todd has such a difficult time with Dave is because Todd's style is super unorthodox, and that's why when it's up against pressers, when it's up against top rollers, Todd cuts through them because they've never fought a style like that. But then when Todd Hutchings goes up against a guy like Dave Chafee, who uses pretty much that same technique, Dave comes out every time because he is always stronger in that form. It's just that the super heavyweights and the heavyweights that have fought Dave Chafee haven't been, well, they've been able to find a way around it with their top rolls or their presses or whatever they do to get around Dave's style. The thing is, Sagov, as soon as he starts, immediately supinates and drags back like this. So he starts up front, immediately supinates and cuts in. What that means for Chafee is because supination is almost never contested in top rollers like Dave Chafee, Dave is going to try to catch him outside, but he's going to get turned palm up. Because Ibrahim is just going to twist in, and that's going to turn Dave Chafee into a hook. Dave cannot access his side pressure in a hook. He's not going to be able to rip him out. He's just going to sit there, and Ibrahim is just going to be able to tighten up for that press. I do not see an avenue where Dave is going to come out on top unless Dave is faster, and I do not think Dave is faster. As far as the match that Ibrahim had with Gennady, Ibrahim's match with Sandris, Ibrahim's match with Reno, any of Ibrahim's recent matches, you see as soon as go is dropped, he just cuts right in and starts his press. So your only goal with Ibrahim is to sink it into a hook and drag him outside. We have not seen a good hook from Dave Chafee. I don't think he's going to be able to win this match. I'm giving it to Ibrahim 4-0. It's going to shock a lot of people. And now, the main event match, Vitaly Laletin versus Jerry Cataret, right arm super heavyweight. This match has been a long time coming. I really wanted to see Jerry Cataret's match with Artem Morozov. Unfortunately, that didn't go down. Jerry has had some complications. His father passed away, which is why he has been inactive for some time. And we don't blame him for that, because absolutely take all the time that you need. Athletes should not be expected to be brought out of their personal life just to perform as the professional athlete that they are. Everyone needs a little bit of family time. Everyone needs some personal time every now and then. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I've been completely understanding of why Jerry Cataret hasn't competed in a while. But now that he's back, I'm super excited. The thing is, Jerry can beat Vitaly. There's no question about that. He has everything he needs to be able to accomplish the win. That being said, Vitaly has too many advantages for me not to pick him. Because we all know the way to beat Jerry Cataret is to grab low on the hand. Vitaly can possibly do that. That's the only thing that may not work, because Vitaly is so high, he may not be able to grab low. If he's able to, by maybe setting his elbow back for a lower grip than elbow forward and high. You see the difference? If he's able to grab low, Vitaly has a bigger hand, meaning he's going to get more coverage on the wrist. Vitaly has the strongest grip in arm wrestling. He's not letting go of that position. He has the best top roll in the super heavyweights. Once he grabs that position, he's top rolling out. And he's very, very fast. So he is going to catch Jerry off guard if Jerry is not ready for that. Jerry said on the podcast that he doesn't think Vitaly's going to do that, and he might not. I think that Vitaly would have too many advantages for him not to win this match, which is why I have to give it to Vitaly Laletin. The only thing that makes me think this isn't going to be a 3-0 match is because both of them agreed on the podcast to make it a long match. Both of them agreed to that, which means that neither one of them is going to try to finish it super quick 3-0. I think Vitaly can, but if they both agreed to make it a long, drawn-out match, I'm thinking it will be. Now, if this match goes to straps, Jerry Cataret is usually the best at side pressure application with his flop press. So, and if you see him in training, he'll just be holding like wide open position like this, and people just won't be able to open him up. He has insane side pressure. Because Vitaly is so much higher, he's going to have to drag sideways and down to get into a better position. And that downward pressure that he's going to have to force in with Vitaly, I think that makes everything way too complicated for him to win this match. I've got to give it to Vitaly Laletin. So, Vitaly Laletin, I'm going to give it to him 3-0, honestly. Overall, incredible card. Possible practice pulls between Hermes, Levon, Devin, which would be absolutely awesome. Maybe even some practice pulls between Gabby and Barbora, which would be super, super cool. I think this is going to be a really, really cool card. So far, the promotion has been absolutely incredible. We've been getting updates pretty much daily for the past 2 months. Updates about the athletes, updates about podcasts and about scheduling. The visuals, the advertisements, the posters that have come out of this have been absolutely incredible as far as production. I am super excited for this match because leading up to it, it has been very different and very well done. I think this is going to be a very, very special event. Can't wait to see it this weekend on Saturday, November 1st, Zürich, Switzerland. Buy your pay-per-view because this is going to be a good one. Appreciate y'all for watching. I'll see you later.